Have you ever taken something as simple as air dry clay and turned it into a tiny piece of art? Today I'm using a silicone mold, a beautiful vintage image, and delicate gold gilding flakes to create a trinket dish that feels like something from a little antique shop. Wait until you see how I add tiny gold speckles that bring the whole piece to life. Hello, my crafty friends. I'm Donna from Mason Creations, etc. And welcome to my channel. If you're ready, my friends, let's make a mess. I've been eyeing this mold for quite a while. I love it and have been wanting to use it to make a trinket dish. It just took me a while to decide what I wanted to do. So here goes. I'm using DOS clay, which is my favorite. It's so easy to work with, dries quickly, and has very little shrinkage or cracking when dry. It's perfect for making molded pieces. It's also very strong when dry, so it's going to work great for this project. Since the mold is rather large, I'm rolling the clay out before I add it to the mold. As I'm pressing it into the mold, I'm rolling it flat so the dish won't rock or wobble when dry. As I go, I'm trimming the clay and rolling it again until I get it nice and level. Now I'm smoothing the clay out with some water. I'm getting all the edges around the plate smooth first, then I'll get the entire back smoothed out with the water. Now I'll put it in the freezer for 30 minutes. Freezing the clay makes it rigid, so it'll just pop out of the mold easily. This and all the products you're going to see me use today came from DecoupageNapkins.com, my wonderful sponsors. Fresh out of the freezer. Watch how easily this just pops out of the mold. It's frozen solid, so I'll need to let it thaw for a few minutes, but not in the mold. Make sure you remove your clay from the mold right away, as soon as you take it out of the freezer. I didn't have it sitting level in my freezer, so it looks bent. Once it thaws, it'll lay perfectly flat. While it's frozen, I'm removing some excess pieces of clay along the edges. I put this on a piece of plastic to dry for a while. The top is starting to dry and hold its shape, so I'm going to flip it over and transfer it to some butcher paper and dry the back for a while. Butcher paper draws some of the moisture out of the clay, so I keep moving it to a dry spot and flipping it over often. If needed, I'm pressing the clay flat in the center. It's been 24 hours and the clay is somewhat hardened on the outside, but still a little soft on the inside. I flattened it out one more time, and now I'm going to let it dry for another 24 hours on a grate. It's hard enough on the outside that the grate won't leave marks. This way, air will get to the top and bottom of my dish. Now it's time to decide which beautiful lady to decoupage on my dish. These mini rice paper collections have 6 different images that all relate. They're great for small projects such as this. Because you're watching this video today, DecoupageNapkins.com is going to give you a 10% discount on one order that's a minimum of at least $50. This is a one-time discount and is good on your entire order when you use the code MASON10 in all caps at checkout. So now you can get that mold you've been eyeing or some additional rice papers you've been wanting. Even if you've been ordering from them in the past, you can still take advantage of this one-time 10% discount when using the code above. I'll leave all this information for you in my description box below. To find my description box, click on the word more just below the title of this video. I pressed the rice paper down inside the mold and made pencil marks where the inside of the dish will be. This is just a good way to estimate. I'll have to make more adjustments to make it fit. I'm going to remove the excess paper by tearing it off using a water brush. Water makes the rice paper much easier to tear. A water brush has a cartridge that you fill with water and then brush it on the napkin or rice paper. The water dispenses easily, so this is really convenient. You always want to tear your rice paper or napkin instead of cutting it. A torn edge is much easier to blend than a sharp cut edge. Any of the products I use in my videos are wonderful products that I personally believe in, so you can bet that each one is a great product. Everything I use will be listed in my description box below. Each one will have a blue link, so they're easy for you to find. Any links I provide are safe for you to click on. To find my description box, click on the word "More" just below the title of this video. I'm using Polyvine Heavy Duty Varnish in a satin finish as my decoupage adhesive today. You can use this product as a varnish and an adhesive, which is true for all the Polyvine formulas. The most popular brand of decoupage glue takes 28 days to completely dry and cure. Polyvine dries to the touch in 1 hour and is completely cured in less than a week. It dries crystal clear and will never yellow. All the Polyvine formulas can be used as decoupage adhesive, so feel free to use whichever one you have on hand. I positioned the paper where I wanted it and then lifted up one side at a time, adding my varnish and then pressing the image back down using more varnish. And then I'll let that dry for about an hour. I gave this another coat of varnish. I'm going to be sponging on some paint and need the edges of the paper sealed with a satin or gloss. If you don't seal those edges, they'll grab onto the paint and accent the paper edges. I want to hide them, not bring attention to them. I'm using Pentart paint, which is one of my favorite paints, in the color gold to sponge around the perimeter of the dish. You'll see how this paint covers in just one coat, which is amazing for a metallic paint. I'm blending it over top of the edges of the rice paper, so the image just delicately blends into the gold edge. I'm using a sea sponge. They are great for this process. They give a spotty application without a definitive line. DecoupageNapkins.com has an amazing selection of napkins, and the best part is that you can purchase them individually. They carry a wide range of craft supplies, including rice paper, paints, clay, molds, and an excellent selection of Polyvine products. With thousands of items available and new products being added regularly, it's truly a one-stop shop for crafters. Orders are carefully packed and shipped quickly. You'll earn bonus points on orders over $100. Additional offers may vary and are often seasonal, so be sure to check their website. You'll find any promotions displayed in a banner at the top of their homepage. Subscribe to their newsletter by entering your email address to receive 10% off your next order. This discount is separate from the Mason 10 code and may be used on an additional purchase. I'll leave links to all the products I use in the description box below. Please note that all offers are subject to change. To find my description box, click on the word "More" below the title of this video. And then I let this dry for about 30 minutes. Okay, my friends, this is where the fun starts. These are gilding flakes. You can get them in flakes like this or sheets that are 6 inches by 6 inches. You can use either one for this. I'm just putting a few pieces in a small bowl and breaking it up into very tiny pieces using a stiff brush and my tweezers. I'm adding a layer of varnish over the entire top of the dish, which will act as my glue. I'm sprinkling the gold flakes all over the dish, including the gold edge. I am, however, avoiding her face. I'm using a small brush to move the pieces around and press them down. I'm going to end up putting a lot of layers of varnish on this little dish. Because of all the layers, in the end, it shines like glass. This dish turns out so pretty. It could be used for a trinket dish. You could display it on a small plate stand, or even add a ribbon to the back and use it as a small wall hanging. I've added a new playlist to my channel. This playlist consists of some very easy spring projects that are quick to make and might be good sellers at a craft fair. This project will be included in that playlist. And then I'll let that dry for about an hour. Because these are metallic flakes, there are little edges sticking up. I'm going to use a stiff brush and scrape it over the top to knock off all those little edges. If you're enjoying this video, please let me know by hitting that like button. When you click the like button, a new hype button shows up. If you click that, you'll be able to send points to my channel. YouTube will then send this video out to more viewers. This is great for my channel. I appreciate you for doing that. You won't want to miss any of the new projects coming up, so don't forget to subscribe. Now I'm going to add another coat of varnish and let this dry for another hour. I'm adding a coat of varnish and more sprinkles of gold. Because the first application of sprinkles is under a coat of varnish, you'll see a little bit of a layered effect. I don't think the camera picks it up very well though, but you can tell that some of the sprinkles are on a different level because of the layers of varnish. The more you want to see that effect, add more layers of varnish between the two layers of sprinkles. I'm going to let that dry for an hour and then knock down all the little edges again. After that, I'll add a coat of varnish, letting it dry an hour before continuing. This is what's going to give this little dish a glass-like finish. I'm going to add a little depth and dimension by doing an antiquing technique. I'm using folk art antiquing medium in the color Wooden Bucket Brown. I put a few drops in a little paper cup and added some water. I prefer my antique mediums somewhat runny. I'm brushing my antique on the dish, just along the edge where all those cool ripples are. I'm doing this in sections and wiping the antique off with a soft dry cloth right away before it can dry. Because of the gloss finish, it will wipe off the surface and stay in all those little dips, showing the details of the mold. Antiquing gives this little dish some depth and dimension, making the dimpled edge look 3D. What a difference it makes. I'll let the antique dry for about an hour and then 2 more coats of varnish, letting each coat dry for an hour. I know this is a lot of varnish, but just wait until you see the final result. The shine Polyvine varnish gives you is flawless. Where are you all watching from, my crafty friends? Let me know in the comments. I just love to see what cities and countries all my friends are watching from. I'm filming from sunny Las Vegas, Nevada in the United States. I'm going to highlight just the high points on that rippled edge using redesigned decor wax in the color Eternal. After adding your final sealer is when you'll add any waxes, as they don't need to be sealed. This will always be the last thing you add to your projects. I'm putting a small amount of the rub on my finger and rubbing it together with my thumb. Smearing it around like that prevents a large amount of your product ending up in one place. I let the Eternal wax dry for several hours, and now I'm using a soft dry cloth to buff it to a beautiful golden shine. I haven't figured out if I'm going to use this as a trinket dish or display it on a stand. So there are 2 endings today. Let me know which one you're going to do. Don't forget, all of the wonderful products I'm using today can be found at my favorite place for craft supplies, decoupagenapkins.com, and I'll leave you links in my description box below. I added a link to my new playlist of easy spring projects. Click the picture on the right to be taken directly to that playlist. I'm so happy you were here with me today, and thanks so much for watching. I can't wait to see you all next week. I'm working on a new project with you in mind. You can subscribe by clicking my picture in the top right corner.